Agbaje is still here with us. He's the candidate for the People's Democratic Party seeking for the office of the Lagos State Governor. We were talking about unemployment before we went on break, and you were talking about the structures. I have a question here to say, could you explain a little further in terms of the structures you will put in place to ensure that more jobs are created?
Well, like I said, I've given ideas of what I'll do, but in terms of the structure directly related to unemployment is the setting up of a job portal. Basically what the job portal is doing is getting our school leavers, our university, polytechnic graduates, to guide them in terms of retraining, in terms of remedial, work. You find that many of them today, even when they've left school, don't really know. They don't even know how to prepare for interviews for jobs, for example. They don't even know how to get jobs. And you take a cue from the banks today. The banks employ, when they pass interviews, they still send them back to training school for 3 to 6 months to kind of get them ready to do the work. Now, that's the kind of thing that we need to begin to do for our young ones, to guide them, entrepreneurial skills, things like that.
Is it that the state is not currently doing it?
Well, not to my knowledge, not, at least definitely not in any appreciable manner. Or let me put it like this, I don't see a format that is working in the way it should, because it's not something that the state is going to do itself. It's going to have to partner with private people, so that you can roll it, you can roll a lot of them out. They can go in, do morning shifts, do afternoon shifts, do evening shifts at their convenience in a way that they prepare. They don't even know how to source for funds, for example. They have the funds here and there that when you talk to the younger ones, they don't even know where or how. You need to have a way to harness all that for them so that they do know how they can go. All they know about is probably a you-win project. Not everybody's going to get a you-win project. For example, today the CBN, the central bank, has a 200 billion naira fund for micro and small, medium enterprises. When you talk to many of them, they don't know. It's like, oh, really? Where? How? So government's role is to create those opportunities, is to, make them appreciate what is out there for them and let them take advantage of it. So that's the kind of thing that the job portal would do in terms of exposing them.
Well, for some Lagosians, they would say, over time, they have seen the creation of some agencies or parastatals or body that have been able to take off some of these young school leavers from their homes, giving them affordable jobs. And perhaps now we're talking about the social media. Now is the time for you to clear the air on some of the things you have said. And now we're talking about, alleged to have said, rather.
Okay.
For Olujide here, he's saying that now we're talking about employment issues. Did you really say when you come on you were going to scrap some of these agencies, specifically maybe LASMA, and we'll get to employ some other people through other means?
No, definitely not. I never said I was going to scrap any agency. Whatever it is, what I've said is that there should be a difference between regulatory work and fund and income generation. That LASMA is key. What you need to do is to make sure that LASMA is doing the work of ensuring free flow of traffic, rather than look at LASMA first and foremost as to how to make money for government. And that's what I mean by regulation and income generation. So if you have a LASA, the ad agency, its job is to ensure that there's order, there's sanity, what the material is right, rather than how much money is LASA going to make for government. So it's like, what determines its role? Is it the money-making exercise, or is it the real issue of what it's set up for? So nobody's talking about scrapping any agency.
Just a moment, though. Now that you mentioned LASA, we need to know, did you have any issues whatsoever in terms of pasting posters and, putting up your signages in Lagos?
Well, it's politics time. And, LASA is a Lagos State agency. But then the billboards, for example, are owned by private agencies again. So we approached the private agencies that wanted to put up our billboards. Of course, we're going to pay, and they accepted. And when it was time to roll out, it's like, there's a lot of pressure from us here and there not to allow your billboards to go up, you know, and I'm like, why shouldn't our billboards go up? Well, you know, this is politics time. The regulators are not comfortable with having your billboards. So it's not something that is written on, you know, in black and white. But like I said, it's politics time. So yes, we did have issues getting our billboards up there.
But you were able
and meetings had to be held, even between the agency, between the Federal Ministry of Works, to show that there was an issue. You know, you did have meetings that had to be held. That look, you cannot do this. You cannot stop people from putting up their own adverts when you put yours up.
The reason we asked this question is because the Lagos State Commissioner of Police did issue one into Lassa, and only yesterday, I believe, there was also a directive from the Minister of Work saying that they had to, henceforth all billboards will have to be cleared from federal roads, and they were going to be asking for the right of way, and you know, and we're just wondering if this was related in any way to people not getting a level playing field in terms of being able to put up their billboards.
I want to believe it was related to not having a level playing field. You have to understand that, you know, like I said, this is politics time. You have to understand that the federal highways, for example, the landlord is the federal government. The regulator for those ads is the Lagos State Advertising Agency. Now, so it's like probably, again, I'm not involved at that level, but probably what you have is a situation where these issues are not resolved, because I do recall that, again, Lagos State government, through its agencies also, did issue a release that they were not happy with some adverts that had gone up on the highway. So I believe everybody's using what he has. Lagos State does not want the federal, or, you know, doesn't want the opposition to have its way. And the federal is saying, well, you know what, we own this place. So if you are not going to allow us, then we're not going to allow anybody to, you know, to take our place. And like I said, it's politics time.
Let's get back to what you're going to do if elected. George says, what is your plan for housing? What would you do differently?
Yeah, again, for housing, if we look at our housing, you have a situation where, by its own admission, the present, or those that have run the present government for nearly 16 years have, I believe, produced less than 25,000 housing units. We have a situation where our Lagos needs some 200,000 housing units every year. We're saying that, I mean, this is government, the less than 25 is government. But then it means we're not producing and we're not getting enough houses. And that's why you're having increase in slums. I believe, again, by the admission of the state government, some 70%, you know, live in slum areas in Lagos State. Now, what that means is something is wrong. And what we're saying is that we've got to correct it. And what we're looking at, or what we're saying, is that the first thing is that you must understand that, you know, quite a large number of our people are low-income earners, and they're the ones that are, you know, living in the slums and expanding the slums and creating the problems that come with slums. And so you must provide for them. But the present government says that there's nothing like low-income housing, because there's nothing like low-income cement. And we're saying, hey, there must be something. In the first place, there was a governor that had come into this Lagos before that did build houses for low-income earners. And we're saying we take a cue from that. And the first thing you do if you want to build low-income housing is, first and foremost, is to reduce the cost of land to near zero. I mean, this is land for the people. So you've got to reduce the cost of land.
How would you do that?
It's government land. Government sells land at commercial rates. So government is looking at land, or the present government is looking at every plot of land as potential money. We're saying it doesn't work like that. You must understand that that land must be used at a price that is next to nothing, for as long as it's for low-income housing. So that first reduces the cost of whatever you're going to build. Secondly, again, the bureaucracy for construction permits, for approved plans in Lagos. There's a World Bank survey that says that Lagos is the worst state in Nigeria. It's the 36th out of 36 states to get approved plans. Now, it's that bad. So we're saying that there's a lot of bureaucracy involved in getting approved plan. You must change that bureaucracy around. You must make Lagos the first of 36 states, so that it doesn't take you 2 years to get approved plans, because the longer it takes, the more expensive the building.
If I remember properly, the state government says it wasn't, they improved it from what they met, and then they're consistently working to ensure that it's a lot faster.
No, it's not about improving. I'm saying it's a survey. It's a 2013-14 survey. So if they improved it, they're still number 36. So it means that if they did improve it, the other states are even improving better, or at a pace, or at the same pace. But the fact is that Lagos is the worst state to get approved plans, and that's a World Bank study. It's not my study. It's not a PDP study. That is it. And so we're saying that you've got to correct that. You've got to understand that there's too much bureaucracy. And part of the bureaucracy is the fact that you're talking about costs, you're talking about a slow process, you're talking about too many steps involved in the process. So if you do reduce that, then you reduce the cost. Lastly, you have to look at it, thirdly, you have to look at it in terms of how are you producing these houses. When you're producing low-income houses, it's not like handmade goods. It's not like making a handmade bag, where one bag is going to take you a week to produce. It's about mass production. So we're talking about industrial scale housing. And that means you're using prefab structures. When Jakonde did his housing units, what you had was he had bought roofing sheets in large quantity. He had got the quarry to produce, to get you gravel, sand, and all that. So that it was easy to roll out those.
So are you going to scrap the current system that is going on now? Because the current system, people go in, it's transparent, as they tell us, the ballot and get the houses? The current housing scheme.
Yeah, in any case, that's not for low-cost people. I mean, 70 million naira for an apartment is definitely not for low-income people. And there,
70 million is not the average cost.
Or what's the average cost?
That's about the highest rate you have mentioned. I mean, there are houses that definitely cost lower, depending on what your needs are.
Like how much?
I should ask you. I'm sure that you've answered. You quoted 17 million.
Yeah, but I'm starting on that. Look, 17 million is not for low
Are
income.
you saying that you're not aware of any houses that cost lower funded by the Lagos state government?
Now, let me put it like this. It's not that, you probably have, what, 8 million? 8 million is not for low-cost people either.